Yeah, I'm going Puka Bear towards over CeeDee, nigga.
Things out of the base.
Yeah, listen. Second, what I say, because I know we got to get to the games that happened last night. I know one thing for sure, two things for certain, that nigga Jalen Hurts had all day with no Michael Parsons. That nigga was skipping, he was waving to the crowd. Before every pass, he was doing all type of shit, dancing. Then he was scrambling. He had the most rushing. He had more rushing yards than Saquon Barkley. He had more rushing yards than Saquon. No Micah, niggas was doing whatever they wanted to do.
Deliver that. You know, I like the way you're trying to deliver it.
Oh,
I like that. You know,
that ain't a fact?
Where's your accountability?
That ain't a fact.
Now you want to deliver it. Well, Jalen Hurts, he looks so great. Had more yards than Saquon Barkley. Why don't you deliver it? I know they ain't getting no pressure on Jalen Hurts, but boy, they shut down Saquon. He had 2,500 yards last year. See, it's all the delivery. It's how you see things, how you deliver things. I say the Cowboys shut down the run, the best running game in the National Football League without Michael Parsons. But it was okay for the first game for the Cowboys.
Always a
You was happy with y'all performance, huh?
Well, no, listen. I watched this thing carefully. Because like I said, all of us have at least two of us in each of us. So when Miles Sanders broke out, he was gone. That was it. That would have given us the lead. I don't know why, for the life of me, this dude didn't just cut back. It was a one-on-one race. If a guy's coming up on one side of you, all you gotta do is cut. You kill the angle. He'll never touch you, never run you down. And then a few plays later when he fumbled, it was hard to keep that old Fort Lauderdale Mike quiet. He started talking about his conspiracy. Miles a double H. And I said, shut up, boy. Stop that mess. You see what I'm saying? I had to come back to reality. But if Miles Sanders would have just made that one cut, that game is over.
First of all, Mike, that's not what happened. Okay. Second of all, before I get to what happened, Zach played lights out. Dak played lights out. Did you just throw a shot at CeedeeLamb though? Because you said 88 don't drop passes, and he dropped. We all seen him drop at least 3-4 passes. We seen it, and you said, and he's wearing number 88, which is your number.
Look up. An anomaly is something that never ever happens, but it happened this time. It won't happen again. That's what I know.
Yo, Murder, let me ask you something.
Mike tried to throw him under the bus and still keep it
if CeedeeLamb wears 88,
no, and let me say this too.
It means 88, and he says 88 don't drop passes.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about himself too.
No, I knew he was talking about. He's talking about CeeDee because everybody knows CeeDee dropped 3 passes. So Mike threw a shot at CeeDee without really throwing a shot at him, and now he called it an anomaly to try. He tried
but it's a double entendre though, because he's saying 88 don't drop passes.
Yes, but that's Mike's point. Mike's point is this: this is doesn't want his number retired.
Y'all can't get sideways.
Hey, yo, Mike.
I know you trying to rub an elbow over here, rub an elbow over there, get me in trouble. Let me tell you that. I get people texting me all the time when CeeDee drops a ball, right? And you know what they said? I bet you would have caught that. The real 88 would have caught it. I'm like, nigga, shut up texting me this. My team is losing right now. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. So stop telling me like you
the real 88.
Feel good.
Then why be the real 88?
Don't be telling me nothing like that.
Why be the real 88, Mike? Be the real 88 then. Why be the real 88 then if you don't want them texting you that?
The real 88 is on the field. He's the only 88 that can play. I can't take my old ass out there.
See, this Mike good, man. See, this is what I'm trying to say. Mike, this is what he does. He says he don't want his jersey retired because when 88's in the field, it's a representation of him. Right. But he still wants to stay. But he throw a shot at you because he say 88 don't drop passes, but then he covers himself and says it's an anomaly. So therefore, he covers his bases. And then I got him down pat. Then he says it's like something that never happens. But then he just says, hold on, Murder. But then he says, every time he drops passes, niggas call me. So that means he drops passes a lot if niggas be calling you all the time.
And who's calling you? That's Mike, wait.
Most drops in the NFL since 2020.
There are two ways you...
Mike, The man has more drops than anybody since 2020, Mike.
No. CeeDee had 6 drops last year. One of the fewest guys. Had the fewest.
Go ahead, Stat. Pull up this.
3 or 4 drops.
Since entering the league, says he has 35 total drops, the most of any player in that span. CeedeeLamb.
Yeah, sent to it, but I'm talking about last year. He went through.
Oh no, we can't make this up.
He went through transformation. Remember when he came in, CeeDee was playing the number 2 receiver behind Amari.
No,
and then Amari left, and he became the number 2. Number 1. There were things in the beginning of CeeDee becoming number 1, actually wearing 88, especially for the Cowboys, that I thought even had to catch him. You know, so many people were always going to be in his area early on, and he did let a few balls go. We had a conversation about that years ago, you know, about certain ways, and I was just talking to him about certain ways to kind of prevent some of the things. When everybody's in your space, that's why you're catching your body, things like that, because he's number 1 and everybody's going to be around him. But since then, CeeDee has been great. CeeDee made some of the best catching in the NFL.
You got to go back to Jerry's world, so this is why you're saying this. Let me ask you a question, and I know the answer. It's kind of rhetorical, but I still want you to answer the question. What number has he been wearing since he entered the NFL?
CeeDee?
Yeah, exactly. 88 has the most drop passes since 2020. You just said the niggas is always calling. You talk about every time he dropped the ball,
35
niggas is still calling. Times 5, because it's 5 niggas calling him. But
you heard Mike, he dropped the ball again.
Yeah, niggas always, Mike told me, I don't want to hear my team losing. Yo, listen, man, we understand you got a relationship with CeedeeLamb.
Mike, why are they calling you? Mike, why are they calling you?
Receiver in the National Football League. Y'all cannot mess with him. And I love that he stated, those are the plays I dream of. He says on him. That's what a real leader does. That's what a playmaker does. Now you want to give him a nickname, the playmaker.
Now he playmaker.
Yo, listen, man. What I'm trying to say is this.
He makes the play
listen, Mike, let me tell you something, right? Let me tell you
Mike,
this,
they
man.
can see you like Cam used to tell me, man.
You know we can see you. First of all, let me tell you something, right?
What's that?
If Mase is walking and I accidentally trip him, like, yo, you know what, Mase, I'm sorry. I tripped you. I can't be like, yo, why you walking like that? What are you talking about? He took accountability. Yeah, we see you the passes. You better not say nothing else but it's my fault. You better not say, well, if Dak would have put a little more zip on it, we see you, nigga. You talking about he make accountability. He had no other choice but to take accountability, Mike. And now you not taking accountability. We start the season off with you saying you have to take accountability. This is how we start the season off. And now you're not even taking accountability, being a fair analyst.
Accountability, because I told you this was an anomaly.
We get it. It was an anomaly.
You don't become the top receiver in the NFL with drop passes.
He is not the top receiver.
He's not the top receiver. He's not the top receiver, Mike.
He's not the top receiver,
Mike,
bro.
$35 million a year and 35 drops since 2020, Mike.
Let me ask you this, man.
Is he better
than Jamar Chase?
CeeDee's a top three receiver.
No, come on, man. You know he's not better than Jefferson or Chase. Cut it out, man. You got to stop this, Mike. He's not better than either one of them, bro.
And who else you gonna put in there? If you go Jamar and Justin, or Justin and Jamar, then you got to go CeeDee after that. So that's what I'm telling. I'm gonna take Puka Bear out with the Rams before CeeDee right now. What's my nigga name? Puka Nakua. I'm taking Puka Nakua, nigga, over CeeDee, nigga. Yeah, I'm going Puka Bear over CeeDee, nigga. Yeah, listen. Second, what I say, because I know we got to get to the games that happened last night. I know one thing for sure, two things for certain, that nigga Jalen Hurts had all day with no Michael Parsons. That nigga was skipping, he was waving to the crowd. Before every pass, he was doing all type of shit, dancing. Then he was scrambling. He had the most rushing. He had more rushing yards than Saquon Barkley.
He had more rushing yards than Saquon. No Micah niggas was doing whatever they wanted to do.
Deliver that. You know, I like the way you're trying to deliver that.
Oh,
I like that. You know,
that ain't a fact?
Where's your accountability?
That ain't a fact.
Now you want to deliver it where Jalen Hurts, he looks so great. More yards than Saquon Barkley. Why don't you deliver it? I know they ain't getting no pressure on Jalen Hurts, but boy, they shut down Saquon. He had 2,500 yards last year. See, it's all the delivery. It's how you see things, how you deliver things. I say the Cowboys shut down the run, the best running game in the National Football League without Michael Parsons.
How they shut
They
down?
didn't get to run the ball to it.
Yeah, how they shut them down?
But not only that, Murder, what he's trying to say is
60 yards.
Yeah, he has yards, but how much Jalen Hurts has? 72 rushing yards, which is that ain't crazy.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts rushed for more yards than him.
I just said that.
Yeah, you did.
Mike, we ain't. You know what, Murder? We gotta move on because there's it's nothing we could do.
Wait, Ken, wait. Look, listen. Look at it. Wait. Okay, so that means you telling me you taking the broken plays that Jalen Hurts plays were broken plays, broken runs where everybody's everywhere. Philadelphia and Saquon Barkley, those were the design runs. So when you design, they got stopped. What you designed got stopped. You can fix the brokenness by keep making sure everybody stays in their lane. But what you want to walk out of a game with, knowing I stopped your design. You beat me on the holy moly roly stuff, but I stopped your design. And that's what they did.
Would that happen if Michael Parsons was there?
Will they be able to stop the run like that?
No, would Jalen Hurts have? Listen, y'all had a great job on Saquon Barkley. We get that.
He stuffed the middle of the field. He played well. You got to give him credit.
Why you can't just give me a yes or no, Mike? I understand y'all had a great job with Saquon Barkley. Would Jalen Hurts have been running like that if Michael Parsons was there? That's all I'm saying. With the holy moly roly, whatever you want to call it.
You know what? And I watched Michael Parsons today. You saw how he ran down.
Yes. Behind. And he supposed to have been hurt and all that.
That I give you. He covers ground. He does cover ground. But
the answer is no. It wouldn't have happened if Michael Parsons was there. It's just a yes or no question. The answer is hell no. It would not have happened if Michael Parsons was there.
Michael would have been somewhere closer. Closer. You're right. I'll give you that.
Real quick, just back to the receiver, just to give Mike his flowers. He did say CeeDee is top 3 receiver in the league, and I would agree with that as well. So I'm going to give him that credit because when you think Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee, I would put him in that category. And Mase, you're not off the hook because we're going to talk about the Chiefs too. There's 2 teams that lost, but let's get into...
I'm going to be honest with you, and it's just because I'm going to be honest with you, and it's only because Tua is always hurt and not available and everything. I'm putting Tyreek Hill over fucking CeedeeLamb when he has a good, decent Tua quarterback. And when Tyreek Hill has a decent quarterback and his quarterback is available.
Nobody can reflect on this show.
Yeah, so he can sit there and say that absolutely all he wants. Tyreek Hill, when he is helped as a good quarterback and they on the same page, he is a top 3 receiver. CeedeeLamb can go right behind him, pause if they want.
And wait his turn.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a fact, Jack.
What you think about that, Stat? Florida native?
I mean, I think Tyreek Hill is great, but we're also going based off a situation. We're saying if Tua was in the best health, and we know that he hasn't been playing how he should, so we have to go.
Tyreek is like that.
But we have to go. He is like that. That's not even a conversation. But I'm saying we're going based off of what we see right now.
He don't drop S's like CeeDee.
And that's fortunate because, yes, like he was saying, CeeDee didn't have that slot until the other guy retired. But what I'm saying is, to Mike's credit, I will give him that, and I respect it.
I'll take AJ Brown. I'll take Mike Evans, nigga. I'll take
Mike
Nico.
Evans.
Yeah, look, man. Listen,
you take Antonio Brown.
No, I said AJ Brown. I said AJ Brown.
And he's tough too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We gonna say it. Stop all the CeedeeLamb shit, man.
I'm gonna take Antonio Brown.
I take Antonio Brown.
That's what he said. I said AJ Brown.
I take Antonio Brown over CeedeeLamb right now.
I'll take a healthy. I'll take a healthy Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Listen, man. I like Stephon Diggs when he active. They're like, look, CeeDee is in a bowl. It's 3 niggas Justin Jefferson.
That was crazy, Kill.
Yeah, okay, you got it. Yeah, pause. Okay,
exactly.
pause.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming in because he was getting way too far out there.
Yo, the whole PT, keep it on it. The whole 10 minutes, the whole first,
bad.
yo, Mike, the whole first 7 minutes. Nick, you know what? The first, edit Mike up for the Clips Late day. Since Mike, you was going crazy. You talking about, I forget what you was saying, but you was going crazy. But no problem.
What you doing?
You was bugging earlier.
Yeah, catching on his body. All that.
Yeah, you was saying something. We was letting you say a bunch of stuff, Mike.
Number 88. 2 digits that carry a completely different meaning depending on who's wearing them and who's watching them in Dallas. That number carries a level of pressure most wide receivers never have to deal with, because for more than a decade, it was associated with one of the most respected pass catchers ever to wear a Cowboys uniform. Now, that number belongs to CeedeeLamb. And after Week 1, a debate exploded that had very little to do with the actual result, and almost everything to do with legacy, expectations, accountability, and one dropped pass that sent sports group chats into overdrive. But before we get into that, let's establish the situation, because the context here is everything. The Cowboys opened their season, and if we're being honest, the performance was a complete mixed bag. There were moments that looked brilliant. There were mistakes that had Dallas fans squeezing their remotes a little harder. And then there was one particular sequence that quickly became the centerpiece of the entire discussion. Miles Sanders found himself breaking into open territory on a play that initially looked like it could completely change the game. For a brief moment, all that seemed to be in front of him was open field and the possibility of Dallas flipping the scoreboard in a major way. Then, suddenly, the whole thing changed. A defender managed to close the distance, the running lane disappeared, and only a few plays later, a fumble handed the momentum right back to the other side. That one stretch of football became the launching point for one of the most entertaining sports arguments to hit the internet that week. On one side was a former quarterback who became an analyst, someone who has never been afraid to criticize whatever he sees, whether that's questionable play design, poor effort, or a missed opportunity to cut the playback. On the other side was a former wide receiver, someone who spent an entire career catching footballs and knows firsthand what it feels like to have every drop, every route, and every mistake analyzed under a microscope, especially when there's a famous number on your back. And that's exactly when this conversation took an unexpected turn, because the focus suddenly moved away from the running back and landed directly on the receiver wearing number 88. Here's where things got spicy. While attempting to compliment Dak Prescott's performance, one of the analysts casually made a comment along the lines of, "The guy wearing 88 doesn't drop passes." It sounded harmless at first, but anyone actually watching the game immediately noticed the issue with that claim, because CeedeeLamb had already let a few very catchable opportunities get away from him during that same game. So, naturally, the comment got challenged, and instead of simply moving on, the analyst responded with one of the smoothest little rhetorical shots you can make during a sports debate. He labeled the situation an anomaly, basically framing it as something that almost never happens and should be treated as an exception. That one word, anomaly, became the fuel for roughly the next 20 minutes of discussion, because everyone sitting there understood the bigger message behind it. The analyst had once worn number 88 himself, and by making that comparison, he was quietly putting his own reputation alongside CeeDee's, while implying that dropped passes simply weren't supposed to be part of the identity attached to that number. It was self-praise disguised as analysis and a subtle criticism of CeeDee at the exact same time, which is a pretty difficult line to walk, and naturally people weren't about to let that comparison go unchallenged. The response came almost immediately, and this time it came armed with numbers, or at least numbers that sounded convincing, because during a heated live sports argument, statistics tend to get thrown around faster than anybody can verify them. Someone brought up historical drop totals, comparing CeedeeLamb's numbers since entering the league with some of the higher drop counts recorded by receivers during that same period. The opposing side wasn't having it, firing back with the reminder that just last season, CeeDee actually recorded one of the lowest drop totals of his career. That's an important detail, but it quickly got buried underneath all the noise surrounding the one game everybody wanted to dissect. And honestly, that's exactly how sports arguments work when they're happening in real time. Numbers come flying out of people's memories, some statistics land perfectly, others get questioned before the sentence is even finished. And most of the time, the real story is sitting somewhere in the middle, hidden underneath everyone's different agendas and opinions. But beneath that entire statistical back and forth was a much bigger storyline, and that's what actually made this debate worth paying attention to. This wasn't truly about one game, and it wasn't even really about one season. It was about the enormous expectations that come with wearing a number once connected to a franchise icon. When CeedeeLamb entered the NFL and took over number 88 in Dallas, he didn't simply inherit a jersey, he inherited an automatic comparison. Every drop, every spectacular catch, every touchdown, and every highlight gets judged against the legacy of the player who wore that number before him. That's an unbelievable amount of pressure for any receiver to carry, and to CeeDee's credit, by almost every reasonable measure, he has developed into one of the NFL's most productive and dependable receivers since those early years when he was still splitting targets and trying to establish exactly where he belonged within the Cowboys' offense. Eventually, even the analysts involved in the debate had to acknowledge that development. In the middle of all the jokes and criticism, there was actually a genuine moment when the group agreed that CeedeeLamb belongs in the conversation with the elite receivers in football, with names like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. That's not some throwaway compliment. Those players represent the highest standard at the position right now, so even briefly placing CeeDee in that same conversation says a lot about how far his game has evolved, despite the occasional drops in criticism. Then, because apparently no sports debate can remain focused on one argument for more than a few minutes, somebody brought up Tyreek Hill, and suddenly the entire discussion shifted into another gear. The argument was straightforward. When he's healthy and playing alongside a quarterback operating at an elite level, Tyreek Hill has a legitimate case for being the most dangerous wide receiver in football, period. But there's a pretty important asterisk attached to that statement, because health and quarterback performance are two massive variables that haven't consistently worked in his favor over the last couple of seasons. So the panel found itself in a familiar sports talk situation, recognizing the enormous upside while asking whether potential alone is enough to put someone above a player who has been healthier and more consistently productive. That's exactly the kind of question these shows are designed to create, and honestly, there's rarely a perfect answer. From there, things quickly expanded into a full-blown receiver ranking debate, which is basically inevitable once one big name gets mentioned. Names started flying everywhere. Some people pointed toward younger receivers making serious noise in Los Angeles. Others brought up players from Philadelphia and Tampa Bay, receivers whose reputations are built more on toughness, physicality, and winning contested catches than flashy highlight plays. It became one of those classic moments where everyone in the room is trying to prove their argument while also keeping the audience entertained. And let's be real, that combination is exactly why. People keep coming back to these shows. Eventually, though, the discussion moved completely away from receivers and back toward the actual games from the night before. Because as entertaining as the CeedeeLamb debate was, there was still plenty of real football that needed to be analyzed. The first major storyline focused on Philadelphia's backfield, but specifically on what the quarterback was doing with his legs. He put together an electric performance, escaping broken plays, creating yards when the original play design had completely collapsed, and repeatedly turning negative situations into positive ones. One statistic in particular kept getting mentioned because it was impossible to ignore. He actually finished the game with more rushing yards than the team's star running back, the same running back who had become known for putting up explosive rushing performances the previous season. That number immediately created another mini debate. One side wanted to give the defense serious credit for limiting a rushing attack that had been historically dangerous, especially considering they were doing it without one of their biggest defensive playmakers available. The other side pushed back, arguing that much of the damage came from quarterback scrambles and broken plays rather than traditional designed runs, and defending those two situations requires a completely different approach. There's actually some truth behind both arguments. When a defense stops a designed rush-in play, it usually means the front seven won its individual assignments. But when a quarterback starts escaping for huge gains, it can often point to a breakdown in coverage discipline. Defenders drift away from their responsibilities, lanes open up, and suddenly the quarterback has a massive running path that the offense never even drew up. Both scenarios showed up in that game, and reasonable football fans can absolutely disagree over which one deserves more attention. There was another quieter point buried inside that discussion, and it's the kind of detail you might miss unless you're really listening. Someone raised a very simple question. Would those same running lanes have been available if the team's best pass rusher had actually been healthy and on the field that night? Once everyone stopped avoiding the obvious answer, the response was pretty clear. Probably not. Elite defensive playmakers change the entire geometry of a football field. They collapse the pocket faster, they force quarterbacks to make quicker decisions, and they can eliminate the exact kind of escape space that produced those extra rushing yards. It's one of those hypothetical questions that a debate show can never truly settle, but it's also exactly the question serious football teams ask themselves after a close loss. What changes when your best player is actually on the field instead of standing on the sideline? By the halfway point of the show, the discussion had somehow covered almost every major angle from one football weekend. A missed cutback that might have completely changed a game, a jersey number carrying far more emotional pressure than most people outside Dallas probably understand, a drop stat argument that exposed just how selective people's memories can become when they're trying to win an argument on live television, a receiver ranking debate that could have easily carried an entire episode by itself, plus a defensive what-if that quietly may have mattered more than anyone wanted to admit at the time. And that's exactly what makes debates like this so entertaining. Honestly, part of the reason these shows have developed such loyal audiences is because the people involved genuinely care about the sport. This isn't simply manufactured outrage designed to generate clicks. These are former players who understand how difficult it actually is to run a perfect route, make a catch through traffic, or fill a rushing lane against a mobile quarterback who refuses to go down. When they challenge each other, question a shaky statistic, or call out a convenient use of the word anomaly, it comes from people who have actually experienced what they're discussing. That's the difference between sports talk that feels completely empty and sports talk that can keep you watching for 30 minutes before you even realize how much time has disappeared. And honestly, that's the real reason this particular argument caught fire the way it did. It wasn't truly about whether CeedeeLamb drops passes or doesn't drop passes. It was about accountability and how easy it can be to demand perfection from someone else while quietly giving yourself a pass when the spotlight turns your direction. It was also about respect. The kind of respect that sometimes gets handed out reluctantly between jokes, criticism, and playful shots to a receiver who is clearly developed into one of the better players at his position. And above everything else, it exposed one universal truth about sports arguments. Everyone remembers the statistic that supports their position and somehow forgets the one that destroys it. So where does that leave us? CeedeeLamb had a rough stretch in one game. The moment became much bigger because of the number on his jersey and the enormous legacy attached to it. But when you step back and look at the entire picture, the story becomes much different. You're looking at a receiver who has developed into a legitimate top-tier threat, someone routinely mentioned alongside the best players in the league, even by analysts who spent half the segment taking shots at him. Philadelphia's backfield also reminded everyone that a mobile quarterback can be just as dangerous as an elite running back, and sometimes even more dangerous, especially when the opposing defense is missing a game-changing pass rusher. And Dallas now has a legitimate question hanging over the team. What changes once that defensive difference-maker finally returns to the field? Football seasons are long, and Week 1 storylines have a funny way of aging. Some explode into massive narratives that follow players for the rest of the year. Others completely disappear by Week 3, almost as if they never happened. Right now, there's no way to know which direction this story is heading, but if the opening week of debates is any indication of what's coming next, this season could get very interesting. And if this opening week is any indication, what's coming next is going to be loud, chaotic, unpredictable, and ridiculously entertaining football talk all season long. And honestly, that's exactly how fans want it. Before you head out, if you enjoyed breaking this whole 88 debate down with us, drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us where you stand on CeedeeLamb, the pressure behind that number, and whether the criticism was actually justified, because we already know this audience has plenty to say.